Welcome to Updates with Precious. It always sees my belly to come on at the month to tell on the things that happen for inside Nigeria. And I don't land at the month again as the bringer of good news and all things bright and beautiful. I don't come with some story them. I see the hot this afternoon. So did you know that right now trouble may just be in paradise between President Bola Tinubu and his godson will be Governor Sanwo-Olu, Babajide Sanwo-Olu of Lagos State, because gossip wey carry am dey talk say e be like say Sanwo-Olu secretly fund Atiku and Obi campaign for 2023. And that one don't cause a lot of gbege right now because trouble they paradise. Well, let's leave that and attend to other issues. CJ and Kekere laments rising level of unethical conduct among Nigerian lawyers. And people say, not only lawyers, nine get unethical conduct. How about judges and justices? What's it happen to their own unethical conduct? You promise us say you be person where you be say they incorruptible and they go deal with corruption for inside the courts and judicial system. Have you done that? You don't live up to that expectation. But let's move on. PDP governors don't drag Tinubu National Assembly before Supreme Court over Fubara suspension. So make we go to Supreme Court test them and see. Make we know whether this law they don't change them. So that we know say that the new law be this one now. Emergency rule in Rivers. Tinubu National Assembly desecrated 1999 Constitution. Now Afenifere talk like that. Bids to bomb another pipeline in Rivers foiled. The police, army, navy, air force, others. Now don't scatter the thing. So then talk. Dollar for petrol. Marketers protest. Dangote export fuel to US and others. Hey. Failed democracy. Nigerians divided as presidency tackles Peter Obi. Why are they divided? I'll let you know. Meanwhile, talking about division, Nigerians are still divided over Obi Ezekwesili and Senator Nwebonyi's verbal altercation. As Obi Nwebonyi said, he not get any regrets by insulting Obi Ezekwesili to call her say she be disgrace to womanhood and insult to womanhood. Obi Ezekwesili can say he also did pleased, or she also did pleased with the verbal exchange with Nwebonyi. Natasha faults INEC, says petition for recall should have been dismissed. Why on a go attend to them in the first place? If not be saying on a self, don't they one day biased? Ndome don't they lament, say in all these politics where they play, they talk about banning and no banning and suspension and no suspension and state of emergency and not. Say Boko Haram don't they dislodge Nigerian military formations for inside Borno State to say that one day I'm important well. And meanwhile, as Atiku Abubakar reveals why he did not pick Wike as vice president, Wike can they say, no one, nothing spoil, no regret losing VP slot. I go make sure so you lose presidential bid again. And anybody who knows Wike would know that Wike fights to the end. All right, so joining me in the studio this afternoon now, Mr. Segun Shokpito. Mr. Segun Shokpito, now one of the finest economics and financial analysts who we get for inside Nigeria. Himself, I will comment for inside politics and public affairs matters. Mr. Segun, thank you so much for obliging me this afternoon. I appreciate it big time. Thank you.
Always a pleasure, Precious. Well done for the good work.
Thank you, sir. So let's start with this verbal altercation where don't become a big thing because Nigerians don't they talk about them. Also, we like respect for our country well. I'm sure you saw that video between Obi Ezekwesili and Senator Nwebonyi where little I will slap you, I will not slap you, I will slap you disgrace of womanhood and this one your insult. You know, that kind of thing. So a lot of people don't they talk about them. People don't fault Obi Ezekwesili, say she did at fault by first of all saying that the senator should shut up. And some Nigerians don't say shut up is not an insult. Shut up does not warrant you to say you're a disgrace to womanhood. Shut up does not warrant somebody to call you an idiot. An idiot may be an insult because an idiot na animal. So calling you an idiot means say you be animal, right? But shut up means just close your mouth. That is eshileku your mouth. You understand? So I'd like you to Mechono, you sabi? So I like you to, so I don't know if Mechono is an insult. And I don't know if that is an insult that is warranted to say that somebody is an idiot and an insult to womanhood. Putting this into perspective, Senator Nwebonyi, just about 42 years old, 42, 43 years old, a very young man. And Obi Ezekwesili in her 60s. He even admitted in an interview that Obi is like a mother figure to him. Oh, so if she's like a mother figure to you, she can't say shut up. So now, waiting cause the altercation. According to waiting him to explain where I go play the footages to. He say waiting cause the altercation and say they say make them talk before an oath. Then they say because of say the chairman of the committee already biased, they no go take an oath to talk before him. You understand? Saying get to step down. So he now says that, oh, if you are not ready to talk, make we will talk our own talk. And that he was addressing the chairman. And then and they asked him, and Obi asked him to shut up. Obi says that they had not called him to talk while he was talking, and it would have been fair that the chairman is the one who calls him to order, but the chairman didn't do that. And she now says, we're not addressing you, just shut up. Let's handle the matter. And then that's so the matter you spark up. Just for purpose of context, make I just play in response, waiting in talk, and then even the altercation itself, make we understand waiting lead to the matter first, and then I will take a reaction. You hear him call and say she be hooligan, she's an insult to womanhood. Him too say you too are a hooligan. And what is that the matter? I say the senator one boy say made them off their mic or something like that. Trying to, if you notice, there's this particular person who was constantly putting off Obi Ezekwesili's mic while she kept on turning it on. But somehow they let him to be talking. I don't know if I should see that as some sort of bias or the other. But let me let you react. When you react a bit, then I'll go back and play what his response was to this conversation.
Well, Precious,
the way you do the thing, like say we get better things when they happen to us in this country. Now this matter now we won't begin to talk about.
Now drama will just they pursue up and down now in this country. Governance, fundamental problems that we have in this country right now. Nobody is talking about those things. We're just talking about Natasha, sexual harassment, recall. Now we have entered the shut up and you're a hooligan. It's one day one drama for this country. But having said that, I think that if I want to be gracious, I will say, well, they're human beings and they kind of lost it. Both of them lost it. That's from just giving them a bit of grace. But having said that, we have to, I think it's important to understand that if you hold public office or if you're a public figure, if you're a person that has a platform and that people follow you and that, people listen to what you say, people look up to you, whether because you're a public office holder or you're just a public personality, it places a great deal of responsibility on you with regards to how you interact in the public and the things that you can or cannot say in the public. And I think that they were both extremely wrong. I will fault Madam Obi. And I think that she probably carries for me, in my mind, the greater degree of blame, because it seems as if she started this by telling him to shut up. And I think she has even admitted it. And she has said, no regrets, She told him to shut up. And then the guy flared up and reacted. We can talk about his reaction and how appropriate it is. We can talk about whether he should have been a bit more measured.
It's shut up an insult that is warranting to call someone an animal. I'm just asking.
Precious. Shut up is an insult. It's an insult. As we're talking, yes. May we talk through. Let's not. Because as we're talking now, if I just say, Precious, shut up there. Won't you feel insulted? You feel slighted now. Who am I? Even if I'm your father, it's only my father that can tell me shut up, and I will still feel insulted and slighted. But at least now my papa, so I go keep quiet. I may be grumbling and turning my head like this, but I'll keep quiet. Shut up is an insult. Now, if you want to tell somebody to keep quiet, shut up is keep quiet, right? So I can tell somebody shut up, quiet. Or I can say, please be quiet. If I say, please be quiet, is no longer an insult. Even if I raise my voice when I'm saying, if I say, please be quiet, is very different.
You contextualize the usage now, and I like that.
Yes, no.
Bringing us back to usage of grammar. Go ahead.
Let's be honest. Let's be realistic. You know, so if we're having a public discussion and then somebody says, Mr. Sokoton, please hold on. Please hold on. No, Mr. Sokoton, you don't have the floor yet. Please don't speak now. You understand? That can never be seen as an insult. I may take offense that you are not the one that's supposed to stop me. Let the chairman stop me. But I can never accuse you of insulting me. But if the person looks at me and says, Mr. Sokoton, shut up. Shut up. What are you saying there? Shut up. Have you been given the floor? Shut up. How bad? So we have to speak the truth. Oh, I don't know how to. I know they defend Batten. I think that Madam Obi erred. She erred there. She should apologize to the man for insulting him by using language that is untoward and that she was not in a position to use on the man. Let's not forget, whatever the case may be, whatever your feeling and opinion about legislators or legislators might be, they are holding revered office, representing people. That office deserves respect, even if the person where they there not deserve respect, you know. But having said that, the man now messed up ×2. He now messed up ×2. If Madam Obi messed up, he messed up ×2 by now entering where no man is supposed to enter. Not to talk of somebody that is older than you. So there were two things happening there. He was denigrating women, and then he was insulting an elder. That woman is in her mid-60s, isn't she? You know, even me in my mid-50s, I have to speak with her with respect because she's significantly older than me. Are we no longer Africans? Now, you go people know they send anybody, they say Jack, even if you are 72 and the man is 40 or 10, 20, you will say Jack, and you two, you say yes. But in Nigeria, you say daddy or uncle. Are we no longer Africans? So I think that the guy didn't do well. Madam Obi should have been a bit more restrained, and the guy should have been much, much more restrained. That's just, you know, just being honest. No, let's put blame where blame deserves.
Okay, so now this is what his response was to the conversation. He says that because by social strata, he's bigger than Obi Ezekwesili in every way and form because he's an elected senator and Obi is a nobody. You understand? So by that, he deserves respect, and that's why he fled up. Let's
you were already provoked before she acknowledged she told you to shut up.
I was not provoked. Provoked by who?
So what happened?
Well, the fact speaks for itself. You watch the video, and you can see what led to the altercation, and which, of course, at the end of the day led to the vulgar abuse from both of us, because respect is earned, it's not commanded. If you respect me, I respect you. You yab me, I yab you.
You don't think a person of Obi Ezekwesili has earned her respect?
I'm a senator of the Federal Republic. By social stratification, I'm higher than her in this country. Really? She's supposed to respect me. She was a minister. A senator is bigger than a minister.
And a global figure too.
I'm a global figure too.
With the World Bank.
I'm a global figure too. I've been a chairman of World Bank program in Nigeria.
Honestly,
but let me come before we go into that.
I'm expecting that you would look at that, what happened in that panel, and have maybe some kind of, do you regret that situation?
How can I regret?
Do you regret that situation? Are you saying that you meant the statement when you said Obi Ezekwesili is an insult to womanhood and a hooligan and use all kinds of adjectives?
But did you hear what she said first? Can you tell me what she said, which is you recorded before now? Can you repeat what she said?
Looking back at that.
Yes. Can you repeat exactly what she said? No, I'm asking you. You interviewed her first, and she admitted here before the whole world that she asked me to shut up. And you heard her also saying that I'm a disgrace to the Senate. What is your reaction to that?
Was that the best way as a senator?
No, I'm asking you.
Was that the best way to handle that situation in that moment?
No, you have to answer my question first.
No, I'm here to ask.
Is it good, that statement, is it good from her, former Minister of the Federal Republic, addressing a sitting senator, a principal officer of the Senate, inside the Senate building, that I should shut up my mouth, that I'm a disgrace to the Senate? I want you to react to that first before I answer you.
All right, Senator, because of one.
No, you have to react to that.
I have absolutely no
reaction. Forget about it.
Let's move this conversation forward, Senator. Dr. Obi Ezekwesili admitted she told you to shut up. She also said you were provoked.
By who?
Already.
Well,
she can't speak for me. I was not provoked.
And that's why I'm asking you the question.
Now, let me lay a background.
Great.
Let me lay a background.
Yes.
We are here for fact findings. What happened was that we were all there to prove our cases. She was for the complainant, which is Senator Natasha. They were called upon at the first instance to be on oath so that they can testify. She said no, she can't be on oath. The same thing with the lawyer that she came with. At the end of the day, I now said to the presiding officer that if they are not ready to go on improving their case, that we are ready to put up our defense, because they have also served us with a petition, with an affidavit. And I was addressing the presiding officer. I was not addressing my sister, Obi Ezekwesili. I was addressing the presiding officer. If what I'm saying is out of point, it is the presiding officer that will rule me out of order, not a co-witness like me. So that is what I'm saying. Respect is earned. She has no right to talk to me. And to talk to me in that way, for me to shut up my mouth, it means that she's not mature.
Okay.
She got to her level by accident.
Senator, because she's not
And
here
I
to now
maintain my
defend
stand.
herself again, Senator Nwabai.
She has admitted publicly.
Okay, all right. So, Mr. Sheko, so you heard that. You heard that. He said he too has been a chairman of World Bank program. So not beyond the obvious because they don't do chairman before for World Bank. So he himself don't become chairman. But away from this and away from whatever would have provoked this reaction, but what does this speak about the people we have at the helm of affairs and leadership in this country? Because it's a bit worrisome. I'm sorry, this is again not me taking sides, even though honestly speaking, as much as Obi should have applied the shut up more politely, someone like me, I always use please in everything I say. So I would have said, please, can you just calm down? Let's listen
Please
to the
up.
principal officer. I would have done that. Yeah, I would have said, please shut up. Yeah, no, I like to say please a lot. Maybe because I was maybe not too much nursery school and nursery rhymes. Now you do me when I'm small. I learned the 5 magic words too much, you know. So I would have added please to it to make him milder, because maybe Obi did not use please, and that's why he felt very aggrieved. I would have added please, because she was thinking that he was trying to impugn on them. That we're talking about the case here. So that's why she said, can you just wait? Let's listen to the principal, or let the principal officer decide. Because they were insisting that principal officer was biased towards their case. He had made appearance on television station where he did state, his case against the Natasha's case. So how can somebody who has already publicly had a position in a case preside over the case? So remember, that was the reason why Obi and the lawyer said they were not going to swear an oath to that, to take part in that conversation, because they feel like he's already biased, which you may even in turn, I can also play that footage for you so you see the way it panned out, right? So, and then he was also talking, and she felt that just wait, make we first of all hear from the principal officer. Maybe she didn't just use the right word. I would have used please. But beyond using please or not please, and the shut up, which I don't find an insult. I see that as close your mouth first, make we hear from the other person. But you find that insulting. It's okay, it's fine. But does that warrant, again, I ask, to call somebody an animal, an idiot, a disgrace to womanhood? That's aside. Somebody who's already, as you mentioned on the television interview, like a mother figure to you. That notwithstanding, what does it tell to, about the character and integrity of the kind of people we put in leadership? You can even see the way he speaks, the way he talks. What does that tell? Could that be the best that the Ebonyi State people would have had, or his senatorial, his constituents would have had to represent them? Is that the best? Do we always do the best thing by putting our best people forward in governance?
I read something somewhere that the guy is 42.
Yes, it is.
42,
yes,
right? Yes. I was having a conversation with somebody yesterday, and we're talking about some other guy, and I was saying, look, there's this common saying that says a fool at 40 is a fool forever, because it's assumed that once you attain a certain age, then a certain level of wisdom and a certain level of understanding and a certain level of composure and poise should follow you into that age. Why? Because
it's expected of you.
Experiences, yes, it's expected of you, because you would have likely gone through a lot of things in life that would have removed a bit of the youthful exuberance. So if you're a 25-year-old person, the way you will speak will be different from a 40-year-old person, because the intervening 15-year difference, you have been through things that have taught you hard lessons in life. That's the expectation, that's one thing. Now, the other thing is that besides the age issue, so I'm saying that this guy has attained a certain level of success in societal definition of success, to become a senator, you know, at the age of 40, because he's been there for about 2 years now, which means he became a senator at the age of 40, right? To become a senator at the age of 40, you might argue that he achieved success rather early. For him to have become a principal
officer at that, and a principal officer at that,
and a principal officer. Now, I don't know his political history, but I would assume that he didn't just jump from his office to become a senator. I would assume that he has been taking political public office and he has held positions in the past at even much younger an age, which means that this guy is already used to the appearance and the you know, of power, wielding influence at a very young age. That can be very deceptive, it can be very seducing, and you can find yourself succumbing to the idea that you are big. And he obviously has very, very serious ego issues that need to be
you noticed that in his conversation? You noticed that in his conversation?
Oh, yes. His head is very swollen. He needs a pin to pop that head so that the head will reduce and come back to normal. Somebody needs to pop it, pop, so that the size will come down. You know, the head is too big. Who are you? Who are you? First of all, who is a senator? You are a representative. Sorry, let me rephrase that. You are a servant of the people of your constituency. They sent you there on an errand. You are
to serve them,
boy to the people. You are there to serve their interests. So you see, what we saw on display was one of the fundamental problems that we have with our political structure. With that, you see, abroad in developed societies, when you say a public servant, the people that hold those positions actually behave like they understand that they are actually and indeed servants. That's why you
but in Nigeria, our public servants behave like you serve them instead.
They are our lords, they are our kings, and they are our emperors. They see us as less. They see us as inferior to them. If you were that big, why are you not where I am? That's the mentality of the average public office holder in Nigeria. In the Scandinavian countries, I love them. Sweden, Denmark, Norway, maybe Finland, you know, those Scandinavian countries, my sister.
Netherlands, they ride their bicycle. They ride their bicycle. They
understand what society means. Their highest people are the most accessible. Their prime ministers walk on the street and the citizens walk beside them without it being an issue. You know, it's not a big deal to see the prime minister across the road buying something in the supermarket. It's not a big deal. It's only in this, our useless system, we call it presidential system. America has that same problem. You see the president and he is surrounded by a convoy and security. If you are doing good, who are you afraid of? So our public officers need to understand that they are servants and their head needs to be popped. That over-swollen ego needs to be popped. We need to understand that they are not better than us. We sent them there. Now, part of the problem is that the political structure, the political system is designed such that if you don't have a lot of money, you can't enter those places.
No, you can't even win election. You can never win election.
You can't even get nomination. You can't get nomination of your party if you don't have a lot of money. To be a senator in this country, you must have at least 250 million that you are not using.
We don't have time. We're almost done with 30 minutes. You know, we'll have just 1 hour to do this. Let's quickly rush this. So just to be clear with this conversation very quickly. Now, this is a conversation that is talking about an abuse or an alleged harassment of a woman. And for a man to also in turn verbally harass and abuse a woman in this gathering. I don't know what that speaks to, but obviously Christine had a lot to say about that. Now, speaking about that abuse and harassment, Atiku Abubakar, who is a presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, also did say something. He affirmed it to the fact that not only has Akpabio been always corrupt, but he's always been in the attitude and the habit of abusing women. I'm yet to see Akpabio release a statement and counter him on that, right? So, and then this whole drama is going round. What does it? Let me quickly play that so that you get that. So that I get
when Bola Tinubu was a governor, he was corrupt.
You know, he was corrupt. Not only he was corrupt, but he was also in the habit of abusing, women.
So who do you think is going to head the coalition, and are you going to run for president again?
We have.
let me just let that rest. Yeah, so you heard that he was also in the habit of abusing women. I'm expecting that by this morning I would have seen lawsuits flying around from Akpabio against Atiku Abubakar. What does this speak about the people we have in leadership? Considering that Natasha has taken this matter way too far, she's gotten to almost every major media house in the world apart from CNN, because she's been in BBC, DW, she's been in world leading magazines and newspapers. What is this speaking about? The acceptance and treatment of women in a third world African country like Nigeria?
You know, there's a program that I listen to on radio that I like so much. It's called The Glass Ceiling. And it's basically designed to project women and to emphasize the fact that there's a limit. There's a limit society places on them just because they were born with that gender. And that there's a need to fight against that, I'm fully in support of that. I think that our public officials, in fact, society as a whole, needs to be restructured and redesigned to ensure that women are not oppressed by the men folk. So we run a patriarchal society, and that's okay. God designed society to be that way. That's the design of God. However, God did not design man to oppress women. He designed man to protect women, because he understands, God knows that men have more physical strength. So we will protect our women while our women will care for us. That is the natural order, not for us to oppress them with that strength that we're supposed to use to protect them. And I think that's where we're missing it. So if we're able to reorganize society, and I think one of the ways to do that is to have some sort of affirmative action, like the way they do in Rwanda. In Rwanda, there are a lot of things that I don't like about the governance structure in Rwanda, but one of the things that I think they've gotten perfectly right is that there are a lot of women and a lot of young people in government roles. And you can see, and I always say that the female perspective is very different from the male perspective because our brains are wired differently. So Nigeria is actually denying itself the opportunity to take from the intuitive value of the female gender and combine that with the logical value of the male gender, get the best out of the two. Instead, we're ruled by people who are emperors who just look at, their own personal gain. They don't look at the people. A female president, for example, will never, I can say this with all my heart, will never have removed subsidy in the way that this president did. She will be conscious of the impact it will have on people, on the ordinary man on the street, because women are naturally built to have compassion. Because of the motherly thing, so we're denying ourselves
to have compassion, to be
all
caring,
of that.
to be nurturing,
to be nurturing.
Yes.
Women are nurturing. So I feel that we need to fix that as a society. And you see what you are seeing displayed in the Senate from Akpabio, from this very interesting young man that just insulted somebody his mother's age, is a symptom of a bigger problem. Is the fact that our public officials simply don't understand who they are. They think they are rulers, and then the female oppression thing is escalated, is amplified by that ego problem they have. So they now look at a woman and say, "You ordinary woman, how can an ordinary woman talk to a whole me, a senator?"
Even the way he was talking to the female
ordinary woman,
even the way he was talking to the presenters, you notice that there is some sort of, like, do you know who I am? Going on in his head. Well, let's move on to politics now, where Atiku Abubakar,
absolute rubbish.
Yeah, Atiku Abubakar has responded that the reason why he did not get to use Wike as his vice presidential candidate was because during the 2019 election that the PDP faulted him for choosing Obi unanimously by himself. So that he thought that it would have been fair to throw it open to the PDP to choose. And then the PDP gave him 3 candidates. They gave him, first of all, the first choice of Okowa, second choice of Wike, and the third choice of Odom Emmanuel, the governor of Akwa Ibom State. And he picked the first choice, which was Okowa, and Wike was furious, right? And then, but he doesn't regret not picking Wike. And then Wike goes and responds and says, "No, ma'am, I no regret say you no pick me, but I go make sure say you continue to lose election because he's a serial loser." I'd like to take the reaction to that.
Wike is an interesting phenomenon. It's a phenomenon that needs to be studied. I'm telling you, in the School of Governance and Politics, we need to have a case study on him because he's an aberration. And I mean that, I don't mean that as an insult to him.
Because when you say this, I feel like growing up, when you say we have to study him, do we study him in the good light or the bad light? Or study how not to be like him?
You have to study how not to be like that and how that is a problem for a society that means to do well and develop. How what he is an anathema to
that is that
normal,
how what make at the break and that no vex.
You know,
how what he is a God forbid.
Political that you have. Yes, now is a
God forbid. And they just like break and down, but they don't understand.
Is yes. Anathema is anathema to structured political governance. That is an aberration, is an abnormality. You see,
I say now he's a God forbid now.
We run a political structure and a political system where you put it in simple English for me. You know, all the big grammar, you just summarized it in one word, God forbid.
now the work why they do it.
The guy, you do well, you do well. We run a party structure in Nigeria. In fact, in this country till tomorrow, unless the constitution review that is going on changes it, we don't even have provision for independent candidacy. Do you understand? So you must belong to a political party to run for office in this country. And if that is the case, then that party must organize itself in a way that it can achieve its agenda of bringing good governance to the people. You can't have members within that party undermining the interest of that party at the polls, and you think you can have a society that will work. Because for that to happen, then it can never be about the common good. The common good cannot drive a man to willfully, openly, without disguise, engage in anti-party activities and get away with it. So that's why I say the man needs to be studied, because as we speak now, he is a member of the PDP, right? But he is undermining the PDP in Rivers State because he wants to control the PDP while he's serving the APC. it's all just complete set of contradictions, and I think that it needs to be corrected. So when he says that yes, he doesn't have any regrets and Atiku will make sure Atiku doesn't get the presidency, I'm sorry to break it to him. Most Nigerians, and I think I speak for most Nigerians don't want Atiku as a president. So he needs to go and find somebody else to prevent from being a president. You know. Okay. So for me, he needs to be reined in. His party needs to rein him in. He has done, in my opinion, not because I support one party or the other, not because I support PDP. I think PDP and APC are one and the same. They're a problem to this country, you know. But we must have a country, a political system where the party is supreme, so that politicians can align behind an ideological direction, you know, together. If you don't have that, we have a problem.
All right, so before we move straight to the exclusive conversation about the Lagos State Governor Sanwo-Olu and what may be brewing with his godfather, the President Bola Tinubu, let's visit the PDP. As the PDP Governors Forum, all of them don't come together, say they don't carry go courts to the Supreme Court directly, challenging the Supreme Court to interpret the state of emergency and the suspension of a sitting governor. They are challenging that. Now, everybody where I know will be lawyer for Nigeria don't talk, say that is an aberration, that there is no way it exists in our constitution. It should not even be a thing. Right now, they did not just take the president to court, they also took the National Assembly to court for consenting to what they know is unconstitutional. But understanding how our legal system is in Nigeria, the way our courts they go, you think, say, our court for Supreme Court, they will come out victorious, or we will just get a new judgment now where go me say the president feel wake up, do anything we do, or ban anybody, or impeach anybody and it works, or suspend anybody and it works. Because from what every scholar and legal luminary has said is that there is no part of our constitution where carry that thing, say the president has the right to suspend any governor under any guise whatsoever. Under any guise. Every well-meaning lawyer has spoken about it. But the president and the presidency and the attorney general of the federation will be the person where they're in charge of our constitution right now for inside the federation, or will be the person we're supposed to interpret the constitution to the president, if I am correct, right? If we go by his duties, has said that there's nothing wrong with that. So does it mean that the president is, you know, just has around him or surrounding him people who don't tell him the real truth? Or maybe do they have a different understanding of the same constitution that their own or their other colleagues do not have? What do you see? How do you see this playing out at the Supreme Court? Led by, the judiciary led by Justice Kudirat Kekereekun, who, by the way, says she's incorruptible. And right now she's faulting lawyers and saying there are lots of lawyers who do unethical things. I don't know whether she never noticed, say judges, they really do unethical things too. But let's move on.
Look, this Supreme Court has given subsidiary, I'm not a lawyer, but I use some of their language because I've listened to them a lot and I've done this public speaking for a long time. You have to stay versed. You have to understand how things work.
No, that is young.
It inside small. So, look, they have given a ruling. They have given a pronouncement. Let me call it a pronouncement on a matter that is not before them. Aberration. That is
which is the judgment where they bring that time where cause the problem. Exactly.
Yes. The issue of
where reinstate Amehula led Wike-led team of assembly.
But they are the one that set the stage for this state of emergency declaration, and it is now beginning to look as if it was a script and a plan. You know how? By nature, the Supreme Court is not a court of first instance in any matter, except in a matter between state government and the federal government, because it is the
just
only
like this one that the governors now have taken to him.
Just exactly like this one, or like the issue of the ownership of land, littoral land, land in the waters, land on land. You know, how far into the ocean does the right of a state go? Where does the right of the federal government in terms of ownership of land, where does it start from? That kind of matter was between the federal government and the state government, or when federal government seized the funds of Lagos State. It was between Lagos State and federal government, so they had to go to the Supreme Court straight because no other court had jurisdiction, right? So except in matters between state government and federal government, the Supreme Court does not adjudicate as a court of first instance. It's either you have gone to a state high court, you are going to a magistrate court, you are going to a state high court, you are going to a federal court, you are going to appeal court, before the thing will now get to Supreme Court. A matter is still before the federal high court. It never even reached appeal. They never appeal them, but Supreme Court made a pronouncement on it. That was the strangest bit of intervention that I've seen in my adult life.
And that will make a nonsense of any case again with the lower court.
You know, because how can any of the lower courts how can any court below the Supreme Court now make a pronouncement that has any meaning when the Supreme Court has determined the matter already before they bring it to it? So that should already tell us that we have a problem with the Supreme Court. And I begin to wonder now, to the issue that you raised, like you said, I think that, look, I don't need to be a lawyer. And I've always said this to my lawyers. I have lawyers working with me, right? And I've always said this to them that, excuse me, don't make claim that your profession is some arcane profession, some esoteric thing that nobody else understands, you know? And
if I read them, I understand them.
It is logic. It is written in English. You may throw in Latin words, but those Latin words, you translate them to English by force because nobody else speaks English, Latin anyway. So you go still translate them to English. So I've always said, these things are just logic. How can a son, senior advocate of Nigeria, you know, we know what it takes to become a son in this country, and then a son comes on TV and starts equivocating. You can hear from the tone of their voice, you can see it in their eyes. The eyes are a window to the soul of a man. You can see it in their eyes that they know that they are lying. That's why I love the quote from President Goodluck Jonathan when he said, if a man is sleeping, you can wake him up.
And somehow they pretend to sleep.
No matter how deep the sleep is, you wake him up. But if a man is pretending to sleep, if you like, knock him with stone on his head, he will not get up because he must maintain that pretense of sleep. So that's what is happening. These sons and all these people, how can they stand and say that the president has power to remove a fellow elected official? How will the Supreme Court rule in favor of the federal government, which I know is what they are going to do? But it will be very interesting to see how they will turn truth and logic on his head this time. I don't expect any outcome. I'm sorry. I hope I'm wrong.
Hey.
I really pray.
So our judiciary don't go be that.
I don't expect any outcome other than a validation of this. The same way that I never expected any outcome than a voice vote in the National Assembly. We all knew it was going to happen because we knew that there is no way an Akpabio-led National Assembly was going to rule against the president. How will they do it? If they divide votes, if they are counted votes in that sitting. They could never
They
have
won't
attained
get-
the 73
they won't
that
win.
was required in the Senate, and they could never have attained the 240 that is required in the House of
In the
Reps.
House
They
of
knew
Reps.
it. So the only way for them to do it was to have declared a voice vote. That was standing truth and reason.
Which is unconstitutional.
We all know it is
Unconstitutional.
it is illogical. Precious, it is illogical.
Okay.
When the Constitution says a 2/3 majority, please let us get this clear. The Constitution did not say you must form a 2/3 quorum. The quorum is not 2/3. The quorum is
It's
a
2/3
number far
majority.
less than that. It is a 2/3 majority of all members, not of all members sitting, of all members. There are 109 senators, 2/3 is 73. So you needed 73 votes. How can you determine 73 by voice, by year and
Yeah,
name?
so that
How do you count the names?
whether the entire 109 people were available or not, but you needed
It was
73
irrelevant.
votes,
You needed
which
to
is
count
exactly,
and see
oh,
73.
goodness.
You had to count. You
And
must
they know they
count
couldn't
and
get that.
see 73, and they knew. So that's why they did what they did. So I wasn't as surprised with the outcome, and I'm not going to be surprised when the Supreme Court eventually rules that the president does have power to remove. And you see, that ruling will
I'll
be
throw
the
it.
beginning.
I'll throw it away. Oh, I'll throw it away on the level
lacking in
on the
merit.
ground of technicality.
as lacking in merit or whatever. So for me, you see, we are dancing on very slippery and dangerous ice right now, because we are undermining our democracy. Please let me explain what I mean. You see, in a democracy, the fundamental principle of a democracy is that it is a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. It is the people that determine who rules them, right? And our constitution has made it clear. The person that will pick a governor or a legislator, whether state or federal, are the people. How? Through elections. And the same constitution, understanding the principles of democracy, says it is only the people that can remove those people if they are not happy with the governor or the senator or the House of Reps member or the House of Assembly member. Only the people can remove them. How? By impeachment or by recall if it's a legislator. The people must do it, right? So if there is no provision anywhere in the Constitution where it allows one elected official to remove another elect, that's no longer democracy. That's a monarchy, is autocracy, is dictatorship, whatever you want to call it, but it is not a democracy. When one man can remove another man that was elected just like him on the pretext that you are trying to maintain public order. So people now quote Section 305 of the Constitution, maybe I think Section 305(2) or 4, where it talks about the president needing to exercise whatever extraordinary measures are required. Sorry, the Constitution is absolutely clear on how you can remove a governor. So removing a governor cannot be one of those extraordinary measures unless we are being deceitful with ourselves. A lot of people are lying to themselves. They are lying to their conscience. I wonder how they look at themselves in the mirror. All those sounds that come on TV, I say they don't have a conscience. I know their names, but I'm not going to mention because, somebody warned me in the house that I should stop mentioning people so that they will not come and carry me. So I'm following the advice of the person in the house. That
So
says,
now does this validate? Does this validate? I understand. I beg. Make they say first. So does this validate what P2B said that that democracy under APC has declined from how it started? In this last republic with the PDP from 1999. Do you believe that we had what looked more like democracy under PDP than now, because the the Tinubu's team and all that had come for P2B and lambasted him for even saying that or mentioning that. But do you believe that there's some sort of slope?
I think that what has happened is that with this administration and especially with this administration, they have gotten more brazen. I don't agree necessarily completely with Peter Obi that maybe the PDP was more democratic. We can't allow ourselves to forget recent history. A lot of funny things happened under even President Jonathan, who is now the bastion of democracy because of his concession of defeat to Buhari. And I respect him for that, don't get me wrong. But he also did a lot of things that were very, very anti-democratic, that were very, very authoritarian. And I can cite one or two examples, and Obasanjo, that is also talking, did a lot of very, very terrible things that were extremely undemocratic, including trying to foist himself as a third term. That man would still have been our president today. This man that is talking today would still have been our president by now, if not because dog eats dog. it was not in the interest of Atiku. So Atiku fought him to a standstill using the same legislature that we are now lambasting today. So it would appear as though, yes, Nigeria was more democratic under those people because they were not as brazen as these ones are. Now, this one, the difference between them and these ones is that this one not send you. They don't care what you think. They don't care what you say. They will do it no matter how ridiculous it looks. And then they will twist logic on his head and look you straight in the eye and lie to themselves. That's the difference. It's not as if it's gotten worse. It's just that it's gotten bolder. The anti-democratic practice has gotten bolder and more brazen. And that's very dangerous. At least let us even be pretending that we're democratic. These ones are no longer pretending. They're just doing what they want.
So the difference, we say PDP period, they be the pretend, say they democracy, but this period, now they tell you, see, it is what it is. Go and kill yourself. I said what I said. All right, so let's quickly get into
Go to court. They will tell you go to court.
We have a lot of issues to get into because this Dangote crude for dollar issue is a big issue, and it's your forte. I would have loved us to talk about it. I don't know if you can chime in because we have less than 15 minutes to wrap up this conversation. I need to really keep to your timing. So, then we also have this exclusive about the governor of Lagos State and his godfather, president, and all that, because that's quite a conversation to also have. But let's quickly jump on this. What's going on with Dangote and the refineries? Now, we hear that Dangote is due to export oil to refined products to other countries because of what is going on, because the federal government has insisted that they will stop crude for Naira sale to him. And he too has said that, well, if you stop crude for Naira, me too no go to come sell my end products in Naira to people, then we be say I go to sell to. So how I go use meat up? Because it will affect my business. If you can, in less than 3 minutes, so that we can jump into the other conversation and help us understand this conversation.
So basically, the crude for Naira arrangement, what that did is it eliminated the need by Dangote to secure dollars to buy crude, whether from the federal government or internationally. Right?
Which will now put less pressure on our Naira, which puts less pressure on our Naira.
Which is part of the reason that the Naira stabilized. Look, we have to understand that the demand...
Even Tinubu admitted to it. So why did he now change his mind? He admitted that the dollar is stable because of the crude for Naira.
I will tell you why. I will tell you why without telling you why. I will tell you why without telling you why, because I cannot tell you why so that the why will not become why. But let me tell you the why.
Okay, go ahead.
Sorry, Precious. I have to be careful. They are monitoring me as I'm talking now. The internal SSS, not even the government own. So,
wow.
Yes. So now you see the issue is this: the Naira stabilized as a result of the less pressure on the dollar, on the demand for dollars, because Dangote was paying government in Naira, right? So one would have thought the logical thing would have been to even push that further, to say, in fact, you know what, marketers, stop importing, start buying from this man, because by you stopping importation, all of the 40% of our total import bill that was accounted for by a refined product will go away. Imagine if 40% of demand for dollars disappears today, Precious. Exchange rate will drop to 1,200, maybe even 1,000. Do you understand? 40% is almost half. So if you take away half of the demand for something, the price, it's logical to assume that the price will collapse at least by half.
It should drop.
Maybe
It's collapse.
Maybe to drop by half or less, maybe a bit less than half. So if we're on 1,005, it is logical to assume that we could have arrived at 1,002, maybe even 1,000 Naira to the dollar. So why didn't we do it? That's the real question. Now, instead of us doing it, we're even moving in the other direction now by saying we are reviewing the agreement that we knew was going to expire on March 31, 2025. Why have we not been negotiating a renewal by December so that we'll extend it? In fact, why is it a 6-month agreement? Why can't it just be the way it is? So, because that's in the best interest of the country. The why is this. The why that I'm going to tell you without telling you, yes, is that importers are a power broken block. They're vested interests. Part of those importers are importing. Now, this is statistics. 30%.
The Malta refinery and blend plant owners.
Now you talk calm. I did not say it.
It's okay.
Now, people are importing. 30% of our entire import bill comes from Malta. Two names on the directors list of the company that owns the Malta blending and refining plant is the same surname as your president. What other why do you need? What other why? Whether it is the president directly by himself or as a his brother, his sister, his cousin, his nephew, somebody is benefiting from the fact that Nigeria is still importing petrol. Whose surname is the same as the surname of the president.
That's why the importation of petrol cannot stop.
It will never stop.
Of the springing up of modular refineries and local refineries in Nigeria.
Unless the president decides that he is going to discard with personal interest or interest of his friends or his families, importation will not stop. Right now, we have the capacity not to import 1 single liter of refined products into this country. We have the capacity. So now it has become a decision issue now. The president needs to decide whether he wants the good of Nigerians or he wants the good of a few people that are connected to him. That's the decision that is before us as a nation. And if the president doesn't make the necessary decision, then the question has to come back to Nigerians. What will you do about it? Are we going to just keep smiling and suffering, or are we going to agitate? Are we going to start tweeting? Are we going to rant like that young, courageous woman who I'm very proud of, called Raye? Are we going to start ranting to say, President, why? Why are we still buying petrol into this country with Forex? In fact, why is Dangote?
Now, some people will say it's the fear of monopoly. Some people will say it's fear of monopoly because it's actually very appalling that Dangote is still importing, importing from all the way from US.
Rule of regulation. That's the role of regulator. Regulators are supposed to prevent monopolies, and Dangote is not the only refinery in the country. So we could have
absolutely and then we also have the NNPC, Port Harcourt, and then Delta State,
which we don't know whether it's working or is working. But yes, we also have. We could have shared the demand. Yes, we could have shared the demand. So the other argument which I've heard is that Nigeria's crude total crude volumes, majority of it is encumbered by various forward contracts that we have gone into. And I say we have to find a way
no vex. When you say forward contract, talk and where. That is major of our crude oil we don't get, both the ones who will never refine. It they tied down to money we don't use them, use the future crude oil already. When you say major contract, it be like say we sign contracts.
We have borrowed money. Oh yeah, let me explain. We have borrowed money. We have spent the money already, but the crude that we are just digging from the ground today, we are using it
for the money we don't spend
for that money. So we don't have access to that crude anymore. So that would have been for me the challenge that the president should take on frontally with his full energy, with his full courage, with his full determination, and find a solution to how? By drilling more oil. How? By getting investment in. How? By making sure that there is rule of law, and all of that. Instead, we're doing the exact opposite of all of these things. It's very, very heartbreaking to see what is going on.
Thank you, Mr. Shegu. And only you go explain this matter like this. So let's dig into this conversation now. We hear that the governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu of Lagos State, that his political career might be on the rocks after President Bola Tinubu received information that the Lagos governor has allegedly, according to them, say, my grandma will say, he gave it to the column. Okay, them say piped public funds to arch opponents of the ruling party, according to this exclusive by People's Gazette. Now, Mr. Tinubu immediately saw betrayal after security reports indicated to the president that anti-graft agents found funds, plenty money from Sanwo-Olu's ally, Aisha Achimugu. You remember her? The one that we heard that the governor then went to one beautiful island to spend their birthday together. Remember that story there? Okay, it clicks, right? I like to do a protocol well, make it understand that. Yeah. So had somehow that through Aisha Achimugu, she had somehow reached out to Peter Obi and Atiku Abubakar, the powerful leaders of the Nigeria's two main opposition parties. Basically, I think this whole thing started when the president lost the election, especially lost Lagos State in 2013 election. I remember we had like a 2 weeks interval before the governorship election thereabout, and that Sanwo-Olu became worried and said, in case I lose election now, what's if it happen? I want to believe that that's what happened, right? Because I can't read through this expose thoroughly. And then that you know, in order to play safe, you can't send in girlfriend, the Aisha Achimugu, my side chick, where be in small far. You know what small far? Yeah, for Nigerians, the benefit, I cannot ask you that. For the benefit of those who may not understand, small far, bagman, what do they call bagman? That is money launderer. Person where they help, no, not be here, they tell my people, small far a money launderer, bagman, person where they help person carry money, go launder. So this Aisha Achimugu, who also doubles as Governor Sanwo-Olu's side chick, according to this report by People's Gazette, is also his money launderer, person where they help him, you know, rake money in thousands of dollars, as it were. That's what that conversation has. And so because of that, it did very difficult for that's the story. So so she helped carry some money and gave to both Atiku and P2B for safe landing in case anyhow way happen, if power tilts towards this other side, in case in no win election, you understand. I don't know whatever it was, but the president we hear is utterly disappointed. And it is more painful to the president because remember that the president also fingers Sanwo-Olu in the problem between Obasa and the House members, where he said that we hear that the president allegedly is saying that the governor is trying to wield too much power, saying that him undergroundedly caused that trouble, we make the impeach Sanwo-Olu. But he do like say no be him cause am. So now he make the president vex, say Sanwo-Olu, we make the impeach Obasa, and do like say no be him cause am. That is now Sanwo-Olu caused that problem, we make the impeach Obasa, and he stay back, like say no be him cause am. And that's why the president vetoed him and said that Obasa must be reinstated and must stay like that. Because it was him that even caused the problem all along. So bottom line now, we hear that the president is furious with Sanwo-Olu, and there may be impeachment plans against Sanwo-Olu. He may not finish his tenure if we go by this report by People's Gazette. What do you think is happening? Do you see state of emergency being declared a military administrator like River State? Do you see the River State treatment given to Obasa? And what do you think will happen? Because we hear that the EFCC now, maybe, you know, the draft agencies are, you know, torchlighting him and the said girlfriend, as it were. And then how do you think this will eventually pan out? Because the president feels, they said, according to this report, that the president has had a lot of betrayers, but no one will reach this particular betrayer. So this betrayer touch him, gone for mine. Say, how can Sanwo-Olu of all people betray him, this kind of betrayer? Say, also he, maybe, also he gone. So how do you see this panning out, really?
Well, because I kind of understand that the man called Bola Tinubu is a very, there's a way his supporters like to say it, is a master political strategist. You know,
absolutely.
He's a mastermind. Yeah.
Yes.
There are actions that he knows he can take, and there are actions he knows he can take. I think that whatever the truth behind that report might be, I don't know. I'm not People's Gazette, and I've had cause in times past to find that People's Gazette can be they can exaggerate stories small. They sabi just blow them small. So I don't know whether it's true or not. But even if it is true, I doubt very strongly that the president wants to throw Lagos into the kind of turmoil that an attempt to impeach a governor, a sitting governor in Lagos State, will bring about. Don't forget that Lagos State represents rough estimates about 50% of the economic activity of this country, right? The revenues that the Nigeria Customs Service,
if no more, the
inland revenue. Actually, the estimates are 60. I'm the one I'm just trying to be conservative, right? The Federal Inland Revenue Service, the FIRS, which is now going to be renamed, you know, the customs, all of the major revenue agencies, a significant chunk of the revenues that they report come from Lagos. Now, what you don't want is political instability in a place that is literally the golden goose that lays the goose that lays the golden egg. You don't want to mess with it. So I suspect that the president, being the political master strategist that he is, he knows that there are some things that you probably just want to leave alone. It's not every battle that you can win that you go into. And I don't see him rocking the boat in Lagos because of this. Let's not forget that the outcome did not play out. Fortunately, the president did not lose the election, one. Number two, Sanwo-Olu has 2 years left to go. That's number two. And he will not come for re-election. So if the president wants to nail him and pay him back for the betrayal, they will kill his political career after he finishes, you know, with the governorship. The only impeachments that we have seen in Lagos has happened to deputy governors in 2 instances, right? So I don't see it playing out to a full governor, right? So for me, I wouldn't be too worried. I don't see a state of emergency being pronounced. You know, for you to pronounce a state of emergency, even in River State, they had to create, in my opinion, they had to create the condition. The excuse that the president gave, there were 2 issues: the ruling of the Supreme Court and the blowing up of the what's the name of that pipeline? That pipeline, that accounts for almost 400,000 barrels per day of our crude pumping. They had to blow it up. Of course, after it was blown up, in quotes, 2 days later, it was working again. What kind of blowing up is that one? So for me, you know, they had to create the conditions that at least they can point to do that state of emergency. Will they do that in Lagos? You know, so I don't think so. I don't think we're going to see a state of emergency in Lagos, just like we're not going to see it in Osun, even though the conditions had been fulfilled almost 2 months ago. Just like we're not going to see it in Borno, even though the places remains in constant conflict, or in some parts of the northeast, or in some parts of the northwest.
You think it's in Osun State? Remember that PDP is in charge of Osun State, and remember that the presidency has interest in Osun State. First of all, we hear that it's President Bola Tinubu State. 1, 2, his cousin was the one whom the current governor ousted. So there may be that anger. He may likely want to come back. The election is next year, so he may come back again, and he may want his brother to win the election, because it will be like an insult to the president that he's a president and his brother or cousin did not win the election. So do you think that they may not want to do everything possible to grab power from Adeleke?
After declaring state of emergency in River State, trust me, it will take, I will be shocked to my marrows if this president will declare another state of emergency in another state in this country. Not with the uproar that has happened and that is still going on. The outrage has continued. It's not as if the state of emergency is just sitting pretty and everybody is happy with it. There's a lot of outrage, and there's a lot of instability in the political circles, you know, and all of that as a result of that action. You think president will go and declare state of emergency somewhere else? I doubt it. Whether it's in Lagos or in Osun, it's not likely that we'll see that. So I think that the president is simply going to sit this one out and eliminate, you know, being governor. You know, most of the governors, the next thing is they go to the Senate. So what you find is that he will not get that senatorial ticket. He will not be able to oust anybody, and he will not get a ministerial sitting like Fashola did.
So he can't advance his political career. That's just all that may happen to someone.
When he finishes as governor, if this is true, if this report from the People's Gazette is true, when he finishes as governor, he will take the wealth that he has made legitimately or otherwise, and he will go and build something for him in the private sector and live a good and happy political retirement. That's what it will mean, you know. But to say that he will be removed.
So you think that the Obasa-led assembly right now will not try to impeach the governor, even though the Obasa don't have the majority in the assembly?
My sister, the House of Assembly in every state in this country is beholden to somebody. No House of Assembly in this country is independent. No House of Assembly does anything without a puppet master somewhere. So if is either the puppet master is one minister somewhere, is the president somewhere, or is a governor. But no House of Assembly acts by itself in this country, and we all know this is the truth. So Obasa has been reinstated supposedly by the president. For him to move against the governor and try to impeach him, he must get the approval of the president. The president will tell him, go ahead. And I'm telling you that the president is extremely unlikely to do that. So Obasa will not, he can't now. How can you move? You that your leg is still shaking jege like this, you now want to start another battle. Obasa will try
looking at the,
you know, run the 2 years left out in peace.
So looking at the bone of contention, we did hear that waiting make Aisha Achimugu collect that money, or Obasa give her the money to, Sanwo-Olu give her the money to give them Peter Obi and Atiku. Sanwo-Olu give her the money to give Peter Obi and Atiku, now because of the way presidents used to lose Lagos State. So he give them to pacify their supporters so that they go fit soft pedal, so that they don't push their supporters, you know, too hard against the governorship aspiration of Sanwo-Olu. Could it be a bad thing that he did? Is this something that is so abominable that the president should be that furious about if he did it as a political strategy to win elections? So could it really be something that bad?
We have to remember that. We have to remember that the presidential elections happened before the gubernatorial elections. So
absolutely,
even if
and he left a lot.
So even if Sanwo-Olu had done that, why should it offend the president? Why is it? Look, the president is a pragmatic politician. You may not like him, but he's a pragmatic politician. He doesn't engage in battles if he doesn't have any skin in this game. The governor of a state was trying to secure his seat, and he felt he needed to pacify the opposition, who has already lost to the president. Why would the president care? It doesn't matter anything. So I don't see much in this story, to be honest. I think it's just a storm in a teacup. It doesn't really exist.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Shegoshoko. I sincere apologies for giving you 5 minutes more than an hour. I appreciate your efforts. I tried to keep the time. I tried my best. But
you try well. And I was enjoying it. So if it had been 15 minutes, I probably wouldn't have noticed.
Oh, stop it. I like it. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. I do hope that you oblige me next time I call you too. It's been quite an engaging conversation with you. You have a way with words, and it's so smooth, always talking with you, because the thing doesn't go like this. You know, it go.
I will not allow my head to swell, so that somebody will not say they will pop a pin on my head. My head will not swell.
Go pop out. No, nobody go pop out. Nobody go pop out. Thank you so much, sir. I appreciate you big time. Looking forward to joining us another time over here. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir. I'm really enjoy the rest of your day, sir. Thank you. Bye.
All right.
You too. Thank you, sir. All right. Thank you. Right. All right. So that's it. And I don't hear all the things that really happen for inside the country. Well, you can join this conversation by dropping in your thoughts and reactions on the comment section. I will read them. And just to also let you know that we'll go live again in the evening. And I like us to pay attention to our constitution when we go live in the evening. And that's why I'll be having a lawyer who will sit down with us and talk to us about our constitution. They need to know our rights and the things that we need to know our rights against or over. Like if you go to the police station to go bail somebody, what are the things you really need to tell the police for them to know so you know your rights? Because it'd be like one of the things that the warriors pass for inside this country now, because of a lot of us don't even know our place and the law based on what in the constitution talk about. And that's why I want to start making out a day at least to study our constitution and to know the things that we need to know as Nigerians to guide us when it be so we won't defend ourselves. If this is your first time of joining us, kindly click on the subscription button, or click now, subscribe now. Follow us like your village people. Subscribe, make we know as the matter then take do you for body. That matter with President Tinubu and Sanwo-Olu would see how that pans out. But we hear that the president is very furious, according to this report. And we do hope that perhaps not also very rushed, because we hear that some of the commissioners under Sanwo-Olu are worried that it may affect their tenureship as it is. Say if it affect their tenure, if the president vex too much and call on his impeachment, if it affect their tenureship. But the president will feel let this kind of wahala escalate like this, considering what thing don't happen for River State and how a lot of people don't finger for what thing they happen for River State. Ingo also like make it be like saying in own state where it be saying supposed to be, you know, the chairman, chief executive officer of no conde in one place. Would the president likely let it be? And this Aisha Achimugu lady will be the person where they help someone launder money, according to this report by People's Gazette. Who is she? And why it be say she did so important? We'll go talk about that matter another time. Maybe I'll have to do a separate recording about her and what she stands for, and perhaps how all this whole thing even started. Remember, there was a time, as I said earlier, that it was said that the governor had gone out with her to a particular island where she celebrated her birthday. That caused a lot of uproar back then and all that. In fact, we don't hear a lot of this about that matter, but we'll talk about it later. Make her quickly take on the responses. But if you'd like to join this conversation and chime in on what is going on, kindly click on the link by the pinned post, follow that link, and it will take you straight into the studio, make you join me to put mouth for talk for waiting we don't talk about since. Or better still, call the WhatsApp line where they open to you, 0817-029-4077, 0817-029-4077. Taking your messages very quickly. Lizzie Akpan says, "You are truly a disgrace to the Senate. Typical arrogant, illiterate, uncouth lawbreakers of the Nigerian Senate. Don't worry, the whole world is watching these criminals in the Senate." Oops. That's a bit too harsh. Temilade Alamudun say Nigeria always puts the wrong and worst people among us to represent the country, either on international stage or government position. And this is so sad, because it's gonna be like say we'll not get very intelligent people from inside this country. Meanwhile, we'll get brilliant minds. But even help other countries that develop. And Shina further says our Nigerian government officials or public officers need to be educated about what they are there to do. To serve the people, the city, not be to serve themselves or to look for respect. EAK Chibweze says, good afternoon, Precious. Good afternoon to you, Chibweze. How you doing now? You don't tell. He said, Precious, answer me, sir, make I take renew my long life and prosperity. Precious, sir, you don't renew your long life because I want you to live longer and be prosperous. And Temilade says, Nigerian public officers and government officials should be given 3 months of teaching and training before they can contest or before they can occupy a government position. In fact, there should be something like a preparatory period where they go even prepare them on how to be a public officer, how to comport yourself, how to carry yourself. You know, like the United States would do. After that winning of election period, you can't train the person on how to carry, how to represent the country. I think that's what we should really do, because the embarrassment will they face so much by public office holders that did so much. The government officials are there to serve the citizens, not to lord themselves. That's what you said. And then Ifeanyi Akowodu says, Oga, it would have been better if Obasanjo will be president until today. No, I'm sure that by now you too would have been crying. Hello, good evening, and thank you so much for joining. Good afternoon. It's afternoon. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, good morning, my side.
Good morning from
Georgia.
Georgia.
Yeah, I'm calling from Georgia. Yeah.
Thank you.
So you see, the thing I just want to say something right quick, not a lot, but you see, I like what is really going on. Do you know why I like it?
Why?
The more disgrace. Let me tell you something. The more these things are all happening in Nigeria, the more closer to the disintegration of that useless country. I'm sorry I have to sound this way. Listen, the problem is it's going to be very, very hard for that country to work because we are not one people. That's number one. And second, there's so much corruption going on in that country. So much corruption. And again, what kind of baffles me, kind of hurt me a little bit is that this man that is defending this Akpabio, were you there when this thing was going on with her and what's her name, Natasha? Even though I do not support Natasha that much, but when it comes to sexual harassment, that's the point I do not like. But the point that kind of made me, I was like, okay, she quickly went over to the UN to report about sexual harassment. And my question is, there's a whole lot of people who's been dying in their own constituents or whatever, in her own local government, in their own state. Why didn't she go over there to report to the United Nations saying that there's been a lot of killings going on? That is the part I do not like. But because, that she complained about sexual harassment, okay, that's fine. I mean, I do not condone that. So the thing about that man defending, and also, I'm not a fan of the lady, she's, he has an altercation with, I'm talking about the senator. So I'm not a fan of her, but the thing is, the both of them are all evils. They always use an evil to fight an evil person. This is where this thing saddens me. Now, the person in question we're talking about, he's right there, sitting his ass or whatever, sitting over there, and then nobody knows. He might be there. Oh, yeah, go ahead, keep on defending me. He is not there, even though her says she's not there. And they're using an evil to fight an evil. That is the problem with Nigeria. They don't know what they're doing. They know what they're doing because this is not what happened. Remember when Obasanjo made some comment a while ago? He said that during the war, whatever, he used an evil to fight an evil. You go to an evil person and give them whatever to fight his own brother. This is the problem we're having in Nigeria. And it's very, very sad indeed. I like them. Let them keep on bringing their selfishness, their stupidity right now on social media. The world is watching. Everybody's watching. And eventually, at the end of all these shenanigans, Nigeria must definitely come to an end. There's no two ways about it because the country has already expired. What we are clamoring for is a peaceful disintegration. We have said it repeatedly. Tell me why they're holding that man called Mazen Abika. Because he said what? You need a referendum. He said a referendum. He gave them a challenge. If we have a referendum, whether it's in the constitution or not, they have a constitutional amendment. They can put him on there. And then they're voting. He said, if we have a constitutional amendment and we vote, if we vote and we lose, what is going to happen? He's going to back off from anything Biafra agitation. Let him put into vote. Because this thing will continue. Listen, the impunity, the corruption will continue, Natasha. There's no two ways about it. It will and must continue.
Okay.
The only solution is just a peaceful disintegration of that contraction.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Now, this thing that you said just reminds me of waiting this elder statesman just talk for inside this interview again with Edmund, where he talks, say, he no beliefs in Nigeria go ever feel work again. Every time I hear things like this, I fear I could listen to him again as he talk.
So you think Nigeria, as presently constituted, will not work?
I've said that a million times. It will never work. We just keep on postponing the evil days. I mean, we've seen that it's not working. It can never work.
Is it not working?
Of course, it's not working. I mean, look at the people. Look at graduates selling plantain chips all over the place. Look at people, graduates carrying children on their back and holding children on their hand, still roaming, going about on Ikiri Road and all that and all that. See poverty-stricken people in Port Harcourt. See them in Nubi. See them in Nasarawa. See them in Zamfara.
But you still find them in poor countries like Niger, Chad. These are countries that you can say are monocultural.
But they're not working. No. No, it's not. The fact that it's so is not because not because Nigeria is not working. It's not because it's not monocultural. It's more than that. We're just unfortunate that when the colonial masters left, the people took over. Excuse those who ran for just 5 years. Those who followed them after 5 years, they continued to mess up the country and they behaved worse than the British colonial masters.
Why are you exempting the first 5 years?
I think because at that time it was a confederation. The West was the Igbos were running their country, the Yoruba were running their country, the Hausa under Ahmadu Bello, they were running their country, and they
were running their regions.
Yes, that's what I mean. It was a country. I mean, this is a Yoruba country.
Okay.
So they were running, and the federal government was not breathing down on anybody. In fact, they were in charge.
But at some point, the federal government began to breathe down on the Western region.
Yeah, that was the beginning of the problem. After that, it was the attempt by the NPC to whittle down the powers of Awolowo and all that. Then they conspired, created the Midwest and all that, and then wanted to send soldiers to run down the south because of Western Nigeria, because the people didn't support Akitola or didn't believe Akitola won the election, and then. And then the soldiers took advantage of that and felt they should end it all. And that was why they struck.
It is struck, and anytime I hear these stories, them say, go work, Nigeria don't expire, my mind go fly. Say, God, I beg, God, I beg. All right, I appreciate all of you. Thank you so much for joining this live. If this is your first time of joining us, please now click on the subscription button, subscribe, may follow us to the promised land. By 6:30 this evening, I will do live with Barrister Sim. We're going to talk with and other lawyers. We're going to look at the constitutions and what's be our rights as citizens. We'll go look into those ones well, and all of those matters, and so that people no go feel intimidate us anyhow again. So that if you meet some officials, you go fit know your rights based on the constitution, and make people know they carry you and take you for granted again. Because I think that it is right for Nigerians, maybe because our constitution is a bit too voluminous, that we to make people need the fit get time to read them, but make out time to help interpret to Nigerians, especially the aspect that concern them and how they go defend themselves. I love you guys. I appreciate you a lot. Thank you so much for joining this live. My name is Precious, and ensure you protect your mental health. I'll see you again in the evening, 6:30, God willing, with a lawyer. Enjoy yourself. If this is your first time of joining us, click on the subscription button. Click on the subscription button. Subscribe. Turn on the notification button. I'll see you again later in the evening. God bless you and goodbye.